We made some new V-pad, magnetic V-pads for our Harbor Freight bar clamps. We started out with the BERGER 4-piece set. Took a pipe, marked it, welded it onto these guys here, mounted them to this. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. If you saw the picture in the front, you know what we're doing here. We're going to make up some new things so we can attach these guys. I bought a bunch of these sets when they were basically half price at Harbor Freight. Really like them. They're great for clamping. You could turn them over on the welding table to hold exhaust or round tubing or whatever you're working on. Like that. All kinds of cool stuff. So what the plan is here is I'm going to knock these magnets out on these. I've got a whole set, so I'm going to make a bunch of these guys. I want to be able to use them on this kind of clamp, right? But I want them to stay on there. So then when I clamp down, I can use them. And I've got a plan for a new clamp that I'm going to be making. It's going to be similar to the one I made before that was this guy over here, but it's going to be a little different, and we're going to incorporate these guys on it, but that's down the road. First, we got to make some attachments to keep them to stay on stuff. So what we're going to do here is I bought this 3/4, it's 24-inch long pipe. I cut the ends off here because it was threaded, but this pipe here it's 3/4. These will fit right in there, if you see. So what I'm going to do is line the pipe up where I can then put, what I'm going to do is drill, I'm going to put 2 lines on each side like that and drill a hole there like that, and then 2 on the other side, and then I'll be able to run safety wire through them and then put the safety wire like that through the inside, and it'll hold it onto there. So then what I'll do is cut the pipe into small sections with it, so it'll have 2 holes on each side, and then I'll cut them about that big, and then we'll weld it to the top of these, knock the magnets out and weld it in there, and then we'll have a nice little pipe that'll center it up on these guys here. So then I'll be able to clamp down from the top and have stuff on the bottom if I want to hold anything, or use them for other things too. So that's what we're starting with. So next we're going to jig this thing up so we can lay some even lines down them so we're ready to drill our holes. I wanted to address this too. I had on one of my other videos where I made something, somebody put in the comments that I could have bought it, and yeah, I mean, they were right. But so I bought these from Stronghand. They were on sale. It's an XDA, if you can see that, XDA 2. You can see they don't have the magnets like these guys. I like the magnet on the bottom, but it's got the thing like what we're making, except we're going to use wire, and it fits the Stronghand one. This is a Stronghand clamp that I bought from Fireball. It fits that, but it doesn't fit our Harbor Freight ones. You can see it's loose because the Harbor Freight deals are much smaller. So that's why we're making these. So for the people that want to put in the comments that I could have bought it, feel free, you know, free country. Happy to get any kind of comment, but as far as I know, you can't buy them for Harbor Freight. Maybe you can. If you can, let me know where. But otherwise, we're making this. So there you go. All right, you can see we clamped it in. So what we're going to do now is I use that logo on the side to kind of give me a marker. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this piece of 1/4-inch steel down it with the scribe, and then we'll be able to scribe a line down the whole side, and then we'll flip it over and do it on this side too, and then we'll have 2 lines. So then we'll be able to rotate the pipe, and then we'll probably put another line right above this mark here. So we'll kind of rotate this way, put another line in, and then we'll rotate that way and put another line in. So that's our plan. Should work out pretty good. We'll see what happens. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. All we're worrying about here is being able to put 2 lines on each side that are symmetric, so that we can drill 2 holes on each side of each piece, and then that way we can run safety wire in it, and it'll hold the thing up there once we weld it. And you can see the magnets kind of battled me just clamping it down here. It wants to suck one way or the other. So we're going to knock the magnets out when we weld the thing in. But that's where we're at. So you can see how we're going to do this. We're just going to go like this, and just take our scribe and just hopefully not get it to move. And we're just going to go down it like that and start scribing our line right down the side like that. And we'll have some nice lines there, hopefully. Yep, looks like pretty good. There we go. The words of my daughter, I ain't gonna lie, that's not the easiest scribe job I've ever done. I had to go up and down it a couple of times. But now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go this way. Give it a little rotation and get it below the white mark here. So bring it to about there, I'm thinking. And we'll just do the other side the same way. We'll probably flip it around. I think that's going to be pretty close to where we want to be here. So we'll roll like that, tighten her down, and we're on to our next scribe job. So we'll put another line in. Then we're going to flip it around and do the same thing. We got one on the other side already, but we're going to, let's see if we can see it. See how we did. Should be able to see it here. Let's see. Well, yep. You can see it running right down the side there. Right there. So it's not quite as dark as we'd like, but it's good enough that we're going to be able to mark some holes off of it. So now we're going to do our 3rd line on this side, our 2nd line on that side, which will be our 3rd line. Then we're going to flip the whole deal around, do the other one, and then we got all our scribes. All right, what I figured out on the first pass is it's easier to draw the scribe to you. So it's easier to come up here, get your angle about the same, so you're running it down. What I did was I held my hand here like this and then came down it at the same angle, moved it a little bit, did it again, moved it a little, and it's easier to bring the scribe to you than it is to push it away. So this was a lot easier going this direction like that. So that's my little tip. I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you'd be doing it, you'd be holding it over here and drawing it down that way. So that's my little tip. All right, we flipped it around. I got it so the line is just barely touching the table, so I think that'll space this up enough on here so it'll be pretty even on each side. Doesn't need to be perfect. This is just for a safety wire to hold everything in. So good enough will be good enough. And some of the extra line you saw on there is because this is painted and I'm running this thing down it, so it's kind of doing a little bit of thing. So at least we got the scribe marks, and that'll give us some good parts to do the holes. Next, we're going to figure out, after I put this final line in, we'll figure out how tall we go. I'm thinking around somewhere between a 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and how high we're going to do the holes that we'll be able to have the wire catch it here. So that's the plan. All right, another thing I figured out is when you're holding this on here, hold it this way. Don't push up against it because the pipe can move a little bit. So this way you're pushing it up against the pipe and it's pretty secure. Not perfect, but I think it's the first time I'm going to see both sides. So let's see. So this one's probably farther apart here. You can see the 2 lines running down it. Yeah, this one's closer together. Figure out our measurements on how big we're going to make these things. I'm thinking somewhere between 1/2 inch and 1 inch. And then where we're going to drill the holes, we're going to mark all our holes, probably mark the pipe where we're going to cut it, come in and drill our holes first. Then we're going to cut it all up. And then we're going to have a bunch of things that we're going to start welding on. Giddy up. All right, the more I looked at it, I like where these are. These two. I'm not crazy about the placement on these. I'm not like how I measured it. So what I'm going to do is probably put one down the center of this and then try and, because that will line up with the, just so you can see it. I'll get it to line up with this, which will be down the, down the center of that. And then we'll do another one over here somewhere. And that'll be better, I think. So that'll be a lot closer to, I was hoping that going side to side, I was going to get pretty close, and I didn't. So we'll fix it. All right, I think we're right in the ballpark at halfway between the two lines. So that's what we're going to run with. Another little fun fact, I cut off the threaded parts with a pipe cutter. Pipe cutter mushroomed it on the end. I didn't notice that. So I noticed it this last mock-up. So I went through and filed the two ends a little bit to take the little mushroom off the ends. So we won't be whipping out the mushroom tip like Sublime. Yeah, just noticed that, so probably threw my lines of hair off, but what are you gonna do? All right, we're all scribed up. Let's see how we did. Let's see if I can get it for the camera. Hopefully I'm happy with everything. I got pretty center on that one. So we centered that guy right there off those two. You can see it. Yep, there and there. So this is going to be fun to try and show this. So we're there. So that's where those two guys are. And we're here. Where my thumb is. And there. So pretty good. So hole, 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 hole. And then we're going to run wires, safety wire through it to hold it in place. And hopefully that works. And if it doesn't, you're going to hear me bitch about it, and then I'll probably drill it out and put dowels in there. But hoping the safety wire trick works, because then you can pull them on and off. You need to service them or whatever, or you want to put it on something else. So that's the plan. So I'm trying to figure out how long to make those things. So I marked this guy. We're at 0.355. If we go up to the thing, they're 0.62. So I don't think we want it too much higher than that. So I'm really thinking my gut with the 1/2 inch will be about good. So I'm going 1/2 inch, and then we'll probably do our holes on 1/4. I'm thinking. I think that'll work. So I'm thinking 1/4 on our holes for our safety wire, and 1/2 inch on the overall thing. That's the plan. So we're getting ready to measure it, and I don't know if you can see here, you got a little ridge from the pipe cutter. So what I did here, see if I can get this baby to focus out. There we go. I think. Hopefully that's focused for you. Got the Indian McMaster car round file I bought. Goes right in there. Like that. So I took my ridge off. And I took my Nicholson, went around it, spun, let's see, that way. Spun it, spun it, spun it, spun it, spun it, got it pretty even. Went over it again with the McMaster car one. And then went over it with the Nicholson again. So now we're going to jig it up on the table with my awesome Empire level that I forgot I had that's in 16ths. So that'll be pretty good. So we're going to go 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and then so we're going to probably do, so we'll go 1/4, 1/2, so that'll be 3/4, 1, and because I don't think we're going to lose a lot of material if I use the pipe cutter on it to cut it with, and then that'll give us a hole to drill every 1/4 inch, and we'll cut every 1/2 inch. I'm sorry. So we'll be 1/4 in on that one, then we'll cut it a 1/2, then we'll be 1/4 into the next one, cut it a 1/2, so it'll be 1 inch. So then we'll have 1/2 inch deals with a hole right in the middle to run our wire. So we're going to go around. So I'm going to jig it up on here. I think I'm going to use my clutch little fixtures to put the square on. So we'll see how it works. All right, we use the spacers I got out of my clutch kit. I'll put the link up in the description. I've used this on some other projects when I made some clamps and stuff. It works really good. It's going to allow me to put my square down like that and then hold the thing up, and then I'll just run it down the line, and I got my measurements right here. So like we talked about, I'm going to go, they're going to be 1/2 inch, so I'm going to go 1/4, 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, and just go down it on every single line and mark it, and then we can drill our holes, and then we can set up where we're going to cut it and everything. So really love this kit. It really supplements my table well. I'll do it. I keep saying I'm going to do a thing on the table one of these times. So like I said, we're going to go 1/4 there, 1/2 inch, and just kind of down the line like that. All right, we got it all marked up. You can see down the lines. There, we did every 1/4 inch. There. So there we go. Boom, 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 and ready to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start down here at a 1/4 inch. We're going to go 1/4, skip a thing, 3/4, 1 1/4 inch, 1 3/4, or wait, 1 1/4 yeah, 1 3/4 inch, and 2 1/4, and just go down the line on all of them and hit them with the center punch so we can drill our holes. I think we're making way too many of these. I'm thinking we maybe needed about 12, and with this whole piece I could probably make about 40 or so, 36, 40. So I'm not sure that we're going to do the whole thing, but at least it's all marked. Again, in the words of my daughter, I ain't gonna lie, this is a pain in the ass. There's a lot of scribe marks and a lot of center punch holes, but you can see everything's lining up. So now we're going to drill the holes. This is going to be stock for way more than I'm ever going to need, but this way if I want to make some for people, send them to them as presents or whatever, I can. I thought it was better just to have the pipe set up for too many versus too few. So what I'm going to do is drill it, and then after we drill it, I'll probably take a pass or two with the pipe cutter down it and get our lines, and then I'm going to take the wire wheel down it and get rid of all this paint because we're going to have to weld it too. So that's the plan. My gut right now is telling me 1/8 inch holes, so we'll see. I'm going to look at the wire, but I think they're going to go in at an angle and stuff, and I think it will fight me less, and it really doesn't matter. So I think we're going to go with 1/8 inch holes. We'll see when I hold the bit up to the wire, but that's what my gut is telling me right now. Plus if I go with a smaller bit, my propensity to break the bit could be much higher with this many holes. So I'm thinking 1/8 inch. That's the plan. All right, after a hiatus, we're back. We're going to start drilling. I'm going to use this guy, this jig I got from Harbor Freight a long time ago that I've never used. Seems, actually, I may have used it once, but seems perfect for this thing to be able to just run it down, hit it onto the holes there. Good old Grizzly drill press that I got from a storage auction. Had to order a bunch of parts for it. It was missing. I bought 2 sets of these guys. These guys are junk. I actually just commented, I love the drill press, but I just commented on the Grizzly site that that I noticed they changed their handles and they got like a big black one now, and they got rid of this garbage. These things suck. I had 6 of them. You can notice I'm down to 2. I'm going to have to go with the 3D printed unless Grizzly wants to send me some new ones like they have on their new drill presses, because these guys suck. But again, I like the drill press. I think it's awesome they finally fixed it, but they should be warranting these things because these things did not hold up worth the darn. I bought 2 brand new sets, and you can see where we're at right now. So enough ranting and raving. We're going to start drilling. All right, we're 25% there. Rolling along. We broke 1 drill bit so far. Not too bad for the Harbor Freight 1/8 inch drill bits. All right, we're halfway there. So just like a divorce, they want half. So we're at halfway. It's Warrior bits. We're on the second one right now. I'm not entirely sure the first one was Warrior, but I'm pretty sure it was. It's holding up good. The second bit is charging hard because we broke the first one like about 5 or 10 holes in, and we've done a whole second row now. So now we're flipping to finish these 2 rows, but we're halfway there, living the dream. All right, so we're 3/4 of the way done, over 3/4. Little tip here. If your hole is slightly off one way or the other, you can always turn the pipe a little and bring it back in if you have one that's kind of dimpled out one way or the other and you need to bring it back. So you can start it and then give the pipe a little turn and bring it back. So it's a little cheater tip because these didn't have to be perfect. So it's what I got, but you can see we got our line there, we're started up there, and we got our 2 lines going down that way. So we're almost there. All right, all done. We've got all the holes. I don't even want to count them and know. We've got holes on both sides. So you can see, let's see. So our cut lines are going to be these guys. And what we're going to do is try and cut it with the pipe cutter, because that way we won't give up material and it'll give us a precise cut. So what I'm going to do is clamp it in and then do a couple of rotations with the pipe cutter on each one, get a good groove going. Then we're going to wire wheel this whole thing and get this black paint off of it so we can weld it. So that's the plan. So next up, we're going to clamp it down and start hitting it with the pipe cutter. Now you can start to see a glimpse of what we're going to be able to do here when we get our clamp done, how we're clamping our pipe in, and this is going to allow us to set up our first marks for our cuts. And you can see we use the V's here, and this is one I bought from Stronghand this way. But honestly, when I can, I like using the cheapo Harbor Freight ones. I like them better. They stay in one place. This thing is very loose. This thing stays in place. It's easier. You just twist it with your hand and stuff. And so that's why we're doing this. Plus, this is so much cheaper than this. I mean, I can build these things. That's $2. That's $3. So like a $5 clamp. Actually, I can't remember if this was $1. I think it's $1. I can't remember. But anyway, you know, way cheaper. And then these V-bands I bought on sale these sets for like $7 or $8 from Harbor. Normally they're 15. You hit them with 30% off. You get them for about 10, something like that. So you know, this is, you get 4 in here. So at 10, you're $2.50 a piece. If you're, let's say, $5 in on this, $2.50, you're $7.50, and you got this. You're not touching that for $7.50 or under $10. So you can kind of see how we got it jigged up. And then what's next is I'll show you how we're gonna set our marks with the pipe cutter before we do our final cut. Because the plan is we're gonna do our twists, see where we're marked, so we'll be able to just come in, cut. But before we do that, we're gonna set our marks with the pipe cutter, and then we'll go over it with a wire wheel, get all this paint off so it's easy to weld when we're all done. That's the plan. All right, so this is how we're gonna try and do it. You can see all the little marks here that I made, and they're redundant, so if one's not good, I can jump over to another one. So the hope is I think I can just line this little cutter up on this guy. Unfortunately, the light's not working with me, but that's, let's see, we're a hair off here. Right there, I'm thinking. Let's see. Not as... might have to get the flashlight out because the light's not working with me. You might be able to see it better than I can. So let's try something. All right, I think I got it. So we're gonna take our first round on this baby, see what happens here. Looks like we're where we want to be. So we'll give it a little like that. Bring it around. Oh yeah, it's where we wanted to be. So we're gonna go about probably half on it. Not gonna go all the way on the cut, but we're gonna get it close, so we'll be able to fall right back into it on the next deal. And when we do our magic wire wheel, we won't lose our marks. So I'm feeling pretty good about that right there. So that'll give us the ability, plus we knock off all that darn paint with this too, actually. So we'll see where we're at, but it's working. All right, we got three marks in. We're doing good. 1, 2, 3. Not the easiest thing, but I think this is gonna work out pretty good. I didn't want to lose all that uniformity. I mean, I could have set it up with the chop saw and everything. I just would have had to figure in more loss of material from the chop saw, because I probably would have lost probably a 1/16 inch or so out of each piece from each cut. This way, you know, it's just whatever it does, it does. But this I think is pretty good so far, and I got a lot less cuts than I had drills. You figure I'm 4 times as many of these of drills as I have of these, so we're moving right along. Gotta say too, I'm really happy my big McMaster car round file fits right in here, so I'm able to take out all those burrs on these where I drilled all these 4 holes on each one. So I'll be able to sit there and take those out as I go along and cut. And then what I'm kind of thinking about doing is, like, I flattened off this part right here. So what I'm thinking is I cut, so flatten, cut, maybe leave the burr on that part, and then put that down to weld, and it'll give me a nice gap to weld into. I'll probably test that out. Then flatten, cut, flatten, cut, and then just keep doing that. And then I'm gonna have way more than I'll ever need here. I'm gonna gift a few of these deals when I'm all done. I got a trade worked out with somebody. Probably talk about that later. I'm going to trade him. I'm going to make him some tools, some of these clamps and stuff, and then trade him for his tube stack. And then what I'm also going to do is send these to somebody that comments on a lot of my stuff that I really admire, that might help him with some of his fabrication, because I noticed he fabricates some boards and things for his church and things like that. So that's what our plan is with all these, and of course we're going to use them. Something kind of interesting is they're turning out real uniform the way I wanted, but I look at the back side and I got, let's see if you can see this, I got a little turn on the back side, so there must be like a deformity or something here. I mean, overall they're straight, but you can kind of see, like, see if I, right in there, it's got a little warp to it. It's not going to matter because the clamp holds the V-band down. These are just a retainer that I'm making, so it's not going to matter, but what are you going to do? It's all going to work out. All right, we did them all here. So we got all our grooves in, so now we can hit it with the wire wheel. Got the magic Wen with the Harbor Freight stainless wire wheel, so we'll run it down that, get rid of this nasty paint. This has been the bane of my existence. I don't know where they get it in Indonesia, but it's not good stuff. I may go over it too before I cut it, final cut, and hit it with the chamfer all the holes. I'm also thinking about chasing them maybe too. Might mess with the pipe cutter here if I chamfer them, but I think if I just go down the line, it'll be a lot faster just to do them all at the same time. So I might do a quick chase with the air drill and then chamfer it. Obviously, well, I might do it, I'll probably do it after I do the wire wheel. I want to get rid of this nasty black paint. I had it with this stuff. So that's where we're at. And you can see we're going to have a million of these things, way more than we ever need, but what the hell, you only live once. All right, so we chased them with the old air drill right there. If you don't own an air drill and you got a compressor, get an air drill. They're cheap at Harbor Freight. Feels like you're working next to Rosie the Riveter. Pretty cool. They don't kick or anything, and they're light. Then I chased it with this baby, my Irwin chaser, or I'm sorry, countersink. So I chased them with an 1/8 inch drill, and then I countersinked them. So they're all set, and then we're just going to finish cutting them. Oh, and we wire wheeled it before we did that. So it's looking pretty good. It's going to be crazy. You got a piece like this, and then we're going to cut it into all these little pieces. And somewhere on here I found I screwed up one drill out of the whole deal. One is just completely out of whack. Let me see if I can find it here. One major screw up. Where was that guy? I'm not seeing him right now. Maybe you can see him in the video. But there was one drill that was like way one way or the other I did not like, but for all the holes I drilled, it's fairly uniform. Yeah, I think it's that guy right there. He's a little out of, that's the guy. He's a little out of center. You can see next to that guy and stuff. So messed up on one, but it still worked. So what are you going to do? All right, so we've been cutting a bunch of them. A few lessons learned. If I had to do this over again, I wouldn't have done the pipe cutter. I'm sure that there were plenty of people that were watching this as it's gone along and said to themselves, he shouldn't be using a pipe cutter. It's uniform as far as the size, but it does distort the metal a little bit. So what I'm getting with some of them is you can see how the holes are a little off on some of them because of the distortion. Still work, not a problem, but I would have liked them a little bit better than that. Some of them are turning out pretty good. This one's a lot better. You can see still a little bit of distortion, but much better. So if I had to do it over again, what I would have done is just mic'd the cutoff wheel, and then figured out that extra bit between the holes, and then just set up a stop with a cutoff saw that would have been like that. Then I would have cut and just kept going to the stop and doing it. So if I had to do it over again, that's how I would have done it. I'm sure some people have been watching the video and thought, why isn't he doing it that way? And yeah, probably should have. What are you going to do? So that's my advice, is use a cutoff saw, figure in your thickness of your cutoff wheel, and then add that into this distance between the two holes. That's the thing I would do differently. This is still turning out fine. It's just, it bugs me a little bit that some of the holes look like they're off, even though you saw how I measured it and everything. It was pretty well measured. So what are you going to do? It's going to work. Between cuts, what I've been doing is I come in and I smooth off here because it leaves a ridge from the thing, and then I take this round file, go around, get rid of that inner ridge through there, and then I come back, hit the corner all the way around that, hit that again. So that's giving me a nice flat side. On the sides that get cut, you get that ridge there. You can just take in, put the file on your lap, go like this, and work it down, and you'll end up with something like that that's flat enough to weld onto the things. And then you can see the side where I kind of prepped it. What I'm going to do too is get the Dremel out with a round small drum, take this welding ridge out of here that is on the whole pipe, take that out, probably run the drum around like that, run the drum around like that on the top. This is all I'm going to do on the bottom, and then I'm just going to weld them in. So that's what we're doing. That's the prep. Mistakes or things I do differently, there's always something you come up with that you do different or better when you make stuff like this, and those are my confessions. So hope this is helping somebody. Next up, we're gonna probably get the Dremel out, do a little prep on a couple of them, and start welding them. All right, I got them all prepped. So we did more filing, and then I got the Dremel out here, kind of chamfered here, ran it around, chamfered like that, kind of did the corners like that. I'm not doing it, I just wanted that relatively flat for when we weld them on. I wanted the top better for your hand so you don't have an area that's going to cut or anything. But I think that's pretty good. I got 11 finished. That one, those need to be filed and sanded and stuff. So the plan is I think I'm going to need 4 for me, 4 for someone else I'm working a trade with, and then 2 for the gift that I'm going to do. So I'm going to have 1 left over, and then I've got all those, and I still have all the stock to do more. So we got plenty. So next up, what we're going to do is prep everything with the welder. I think what I'm going to do is run a light TIG pass down where I'm going to weld it, kind of quick TIG, and then quick TIG on the other side with just the TIG, no filler or anything, and get kind of aggravate and burn the galvanize, and then I'll go over it with the sander, sand it, and that way I won't be welding on galvanized. I won't be having big puffs of smoke. Probably have a little bit when I first hit the TIG, but then I got nice open air and stuff. So I'm going to give it a try that way. I'll walk you through it. All right, can't remember what size these brackets are, but I remember thinking 3/32 would be the best TIG rod. So I got a 3/32 out, got a 3/32 TIG tip, and then to screw into my gun. So I'm going to change my gun out from 16th to 3/32. I acetoned all this stuff, acetoned the tip and everything. So we'll get the gun all assembled, and then I'll mic these and double check them, and then we'll probably make those test passes and get the galvanized off, and then we're gonna hit it. Oh, I splurged. Harbor had these Dremel die grinder deals on sale, so I had been using my Dremel, but now I'm going to use this as a dedicated TIG rod sharpener. I'll put a link in the description. It's got the diamond blade in there and stuff, so you can just drop it in and sharpen her up, and you're all set to go. So this will be better because I don't have to keep changing out my Dremel. I'll just have this dedicated. I think they're normally like 22 bucks. I got it for on sale. I want to say 14 or something. So pretty happy with it so far. It's pretty quiet actually. I think that's max. Sounds pretty good. I have to knock the magnets out now. So you can see on the big ones, they should be relatively easy. You can see in there how we can get to it with a punch like that. The small ones are going to be a little bit more tricky though, because they didn't exactly drill them through, so I'm not quite sure on those what's going to happen. So we'll hit them and see what happens. All right, on the little ones, you just hit them from the top. Just boom, boom, right there, and you got them out. So not hard. I think the big ones we go from the bottom. I was looking for an old socket, and then I remembered I got a bunch of these that I haven't finished out yet. They aren't real clean. So let's try one of these guys. I think it might be good size. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. See why we got to get rid of these magnets? Just like that. Like that. Over how I did the little one. So what I ended up doing was just laid it down flat there like that, and then just like this. Drilled a bunch on there. There we are. It's out. All right, we're going to take a quick test pass on here and just get the galvanized zinc off. Do the big one now. See, it just kind of burns it off a little bit. Not the best thing to breathe, but it's probably better than welding. It's nice and quick, and then we can go and sand it. All right, we hit them with the 120 grit flap wheel, and now we got to get in these holes right here. So I got 120 grit emery cloth. Just gonna probably try and work it like that. I think that's gonna work. Yeah. Kind of get it cleaned out. Each one of them. That. Yep. Pretty good. Again, this isn't advisable. I don't advise you do what I just did at home with the TIG and stuff. A better way would be get a shallow pan of muriatic acid and then probably up to there or so and just soak that lower part in. That's what I should have done. I'll probably do that with the next ones, but I didn't have any muriatic acid. I think that's the way to go. But so I did this, but again, I wouldn't do this at home. Just kind of did it for entertainment purposes. That one's pretty good. These magnets really hold too. They state they do, and they do. So get in there a little bit, work it around like that. It's pretty well cleaned out. Just be getting it out pretty good. We're going to clean it out with acetone after. Just trying to get all the zinc coating out and stuff, and the burn stuff that I just did with the TIG out, which this is working pretty good, I think. So we're not going to have any more puffs of smoke past the ones you saw when I did the TIG. And again, I do not advise that you do what I did. Just showed you it's one way. It's not the right way. There we go. We're pretty good there. So now we're going to clean it up with acetone. I think we're ready to weld. That's our plan. A little bit of acetone action out of our olive oil bottle. Like that. And come in. Get a little clean up here. Just clean it all off. Get the contaminants off, nice and clean. There's that guy. Give us a little bit more acetone. Right there. And again, you should be wearing gloves if you're doing this. Don't do this with your bare hands like I'm doing. Not advisable. Not something I would advise. So let's get a little bit of that right there. And there we go. Now we'll start mocking them up. I think I might do the big ones first because it's more surface area and it might be easier. So stand by. All right, I think I got it mocked up fairly well. I got the holes lined up there and we're pretty centered on this guy. I got the clamp down just enough to kind of hold it without going crazy because I didn't want it to move. I'd like to figure out a better way to do this, but it looks like a washer on the inside, so I'm pretty good on the centering of it and stuff. So we'll see where we're at. All right, we got our 70, see that right there, 70S rod, 3/32. We're doing a 3/32 tip. we're going to take our first tacks at 73 amps and go from there. All right, here we go. Go with the closest first. See what happens here. Yourself a nice little tack there. Try a little puff of smoke. Go back and look at the video. See if we can get the back side. Here. Thinking that ish. Yarn there, this guy in back there. Couldn't quite see with the way I got the sulfur angle here. Probably this. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a disaster. That. And we will get a rod in, but that's okay. So now, do 2 more tacks here. See if we can maybe we'll just do an easy one here. Right there. Doing pretty good. We got one more and we'll tack it. And I was kind of worried about this water pipe, but it seems like it's penetrating okay. So that's working. Still getting a little bit of burn off from the magic zinc, which I probably should have done a better job on. But what are you gonna do? Here we go. Last deal. Get over here. That. Thinking. Do our final tack on here. And there we are. 4 tacks. So we can kind of see where we're at. It'll be easier to weld once now. We got 4 tacks, and we'll just be able to come in and lay some welds down. All right, you can see it put a lot of heat through the pipe, so I think we're doing good there. I'm going to just kind of clean up some of that galvanized film that you end up getting, but I think we got plenty of surface to weld to here. So we got 4 tacks in, feeling pretty good right now. It's been a long time coming. All right, I think we're gonna lay a weld down right across the front right there. See how that goes. So far, I'm pretty happy with the 3/32 and the settings I got. It's melting pretty good. You can see this is the worst tack, so this is where I'm going to start out and work it around. But pretty happy with, I think I got it pretty well centered too. Let's take a look. Yeah, see how it looks like a washer in there? Pretty happy. Things are coming together. All right, I'm really happy with that. Again, I'm not the best TIG welder in the world, but that got some nice penetration. The welds floated really nice, and what I ended up doing was I tacked it and then kind of came around and worked it around, and I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is gonna work great. And see if we can grab one of these guys, see where we're at here, if this is gonna go or not. Should be fine. Yep. No problems. Nice and centered up like we're gonna want, and that is gonna work, baby. All right, we got some nice penetration in there. You can see where the welds came through right there. So we penetrated pretty good. One thing, you can see how easy these move now, and these don't. And you got some sprung washers in there. I don't know if you can see the extra play we have now. So I think what I'm going to have to do is expand this out a little bit right here, because it looks like it shrunk in. So I'm going to have to give it a little expansion right there and right there to stiffen these up a little bit. So that's something I didn't expect, but pretty happy with that. That's going to work. So there we are. All right, we're going for round 2. One thing, when you're mocking them up, you should feel a little bit of a lip right there, a little bit of lip right there, and then you center it on the 2 holes and pray. So feeling pretty good. Going for the next tacks. All right, we got number 2 done. You can see, I think I got it pretty well centered up there. Pretty happy with that. Hopefully it's not as loose as the other one, but we'll figure out a way to spread them and spread these guys to get them tightened up again. But it's working out. Working out. All right, we got one of the little ones mocked up. It's a lot harder because it's smaller and there's a lot more room, a lot more reference points. So we're just going to tack it in all 4 places and go from there, and then maybe probably hit it from the underside a little bit, but there's less places to weld. Doesn't really matter because all it's doing is holding its weight up onto the clamp. So it's just a hold thing is all these are. So if I get a good weld on each part and then maybe even touch it on the bottom, I'm doing pretty good, I think. Start where we started on the last one. Right there. Action. Like that. get this part like this. I'm thinking right here. There we go. I think we can come over here and go like that. There. Then I think we're going to go left-handed. To the left, to the left. Right. Like that. That's how it's done. So my gut was right. It said don't go crazy with the welds on these little ones. So I burned through here. So I decided to just float it and fill it all in. And I think you can see just that heat there, what it did to the legs here is not pretty. So I'm gonna have to figure out to hit that with a hammer or something and get it to spread back. So hopefully we can get it all kind of straightened out there a little bit. Not real happy that happened. The other side is fine. There. It's just, this is what I should have done. It's just a little weld there, a little weld there, call it a day. But I got greedy over here and you can see what happened. Looks like we're pretty well centered up there. Pretty happy with that. Just got to straighten this thing out. So in trying to fix this guy, I was able to spread this, used my transmission or C-clip tool. So I spread this one, and now that's nice and tight again. That guy's still loose. So we're going to come in, we'll go like this, and give it a little like that. And guess what? That's tight again too. So we're back in business with these. Now I just got to figure out how to take the bend out of this guy. So we'll hit this one too quick. Nice and loose, and just give it a little bit of that action. That guy's nice and tight again. Come in. Give this guy a little bit of this. Right. Like that. And that guy's tight again, like factory. So now we just got to figure out this guy that's still hot. I've got an idea. Gonna try and hit it on the anvil, I think. I'm getting closer. I'm gonna try and hit it with a punch right there and there. and see if that'll get that little wonk out of it. All right, not perfect, but when you look down it, it's, let's see if we can get it lined up here. It's looking pretty good for me, I think. It's good enough. And they're both tight again, so I'm happy with that. We brought it back. All right, I'm going to do another one. I'm going to hit it at 69 amps this time, see what happens. See if we can keep from burning it out. I'm just going to hit it there, a little weld there, a little weld there, a little weld there, a little weld over there, and we're going to call it, because all it has to do is hold the clamp onto the thing. So that's the plan, 69 amps. All right, so we did it at 69 amps. We went a little lighter on the welds here, but we got nice penetration. So I just did hit 4 welds. That'll hold it good. I think we got it centered up fairly good. That should be a pretty good one. So now we'll hit some more of the bigger ones where we'll lay a heavier weld down. But you can see this, I didn't put as much heat through it. It's not doing as much. So feeling pretty good about that one. And I think that's plenty to hold it onto the clamp, which is all we're really trying to do here, is keep it, the clamp centered and on there so it works good. All right, now we got 8 total. This one's a little loose, so we're gonna get our tool in here, a little transmission spreader for C-clips. Give it a little squeeze, and I think that's stiffened it. I gotta be careful, that one's hot right there. Just finished it. That one could use a little too. Get it in right there. That, I think, yep, that got us. Okay, so we got those two. And these guys could be a little stiffer. One of these, I guess it's on that one. One got a little warp going, but it's okay. Give this guy a little bit of that, and that. And I think we're pretty stiff. And there you are. We got 2 sets. One, that's the original set. That's the second set. So we're probably going to do one more set, and then we're going to work on some other tools that we're going to use these for too. But I think we're going to do one more set of these like this. And then we're going to move on to the other stuff. All right, so next up, our big question is going to be, can we make these guys work with the clamps? So I got ideas here of what we can do. One is we can use some stainless steel lock wire with a safety wire twister pliers, or we can just get a piece of 16th inch welding rod and bend it. So that's what we're going to try and do now, and see how we can get them to attach to these clamps. So first what we'll do is we'll cut a piece of this this rod here and see if we can make it work. So I'm thinking about that much or so. And then what we'll do is we'll take one of our little guys here, kind of gauge how much we need. I'm thinking get it around half, about like that. Then what we would do is take one of the big ones here, put this guy, we'll move this up so we're not battling the magnet. This would come through like that, right there. And then is that guy gonna, yep, that guy will go through that hole. And then this one wants to come through this hole right here. Gotcha. Like just a little bit off, right about. So it's just there, right there, like that. So then I think we could take, just trying to push it through here, like that. So maybe we'll give it a little tug, like that, and then like that, and like that. So if we're going to attach this permanent, we'd give it the old twist job. So we'll bring it together like this, give it the old clamp, like that. So get it to hold. Should like, let's see. There we go. So now we'll just give it the old pull, like that, like that, and like that. Then we would unclamp there, probably give it a little cut right about there. Then we would just give it probably a little bend over so we don't hit our hands on this and get cut, because that's not what we want. So give it a little bit more like that. Maybe give it a little wrap around, like right there. That's pretty good, actually. So you can see it's holding good, and then we got our clamp attached there. So now we'll try it with a piece of welding rod and see what we can do here. All right, now we'll do it with a piece of welding rod. So we'll do kind of the same thing here. We'll take the welding rod, probably need about that much or so. Bend it, probably bend it about there. Not my best work. Let's see if I can get it back and something like that. Then I think that's going to get us pretty close. Yeah. Yeah. Probably could go a little tighter with it. See if we can just give it a little pinch like that. There we go. I think that'll work. So got that with the welding rod. So I think we can probably come in here. That. This guy through like that. This guy through something like this. I think welding rod's a little bit more rigid than this soft wire here, so we may or may not be able to pull this off, at least with this one. I think might be able to give it a little pinch. Kind of expected it to lay a little, it's close, let's see. Kind of expected it to go a little flatter on us. All right, played with the welding rod a little, played with the bend, got it. So now I'm just gonna give it a little bit. So you can see here. We're just gonna give it a little bit of a pull in here, like this, like that. Then we could just trim it here if we want, and you can see the welding rod will work and it's reusable. So I could just even come in, give it a little trim, probably like Okay. This is stainless rod, so it's a little harder to work with. But there's one. There's two. And then that'll hold it in. So we're all set. And there's our wire deal we made up with the welding wire to kind of hold it. Obviously, we can trim that back a little bit more, but that'll give it a nice, it kind of holds good. That might be a good way to do it instead of doing the safety wire. We'll see, but hope you liked the video. If you got any constructive criticism, leave it in the comments. Love to hear the comments. We're going to do some more projects with these guys. Like and subscribe.